hearing all of the clergy who have served and the times and so forth, and I suddenly feel like Moses. There went my weapon. Yeah, if anyone had told me when I came to Kokomo ages and ages ago that I would have a life like I have, so full of fond and many pleasant memories of doing things with you and for the church. And I'm absolutely, even to this day, amazed that God has been so generous. Every now and then he tries to overdo it a little bit. But God has been so generous and so patient with me and with us. When I came to St. Andrews, it was a different type of liturgy, all of those sorts of things, and we were trying to get things started. And what can you do? Where do you start? And then suddenly in the church, there became an interest in a thing called this new generation, or whatever the terms they use, regeneration, And it was so interesting because I never cease to be amazed at God's patience, especially with me and with many of us. And God was doing His thing, and we were struggling to try to see what He wanted us to do and so forth. And the first thing to come out of that was teaching missions. How many of you have ever been to a teaching mission? This is where you invite people from, well, you remember the piano player priest from Tennessee who came here and who played? And then we had the priest from Colorado who was also a composer, and he was playing the piano and entertaining us. And then it moved from that as they heard these people coming from outside, and all of those missioners brought people with them. And then we came into Faith Alive. And I don't know about you when you came into the Episcopal Church, but I sometimes think I may have come into the Episcopal Church running from people. Listening to all this preaching and going on. But slowly, the interest was created. And we had a Faith Alive here at St. Andrews. And I'll never forget the expressions that I heard from so many people that were so surprised that we would have a dentist who would leave his practice on Friday and bring his family and drive here and be here for Friday night and Saturday and have to leave after the service on Sunday. Now, how many of you are dyed-in-the-wool born Episcopalians? How many of you would have thought in those days that somebody would come and take their own time, their own energy, their own effort to get here to witness to their faith to you in your congregation? And these little things all took root, and they grew, and they grew. And then we had that experience called the Cursillo movement. And it was so strange. Mary Lou's husband, Wright Johnson, who was director over at Logansport, we were both attending a conference on Lake Michigan. And the conference wasn't had anything to do with what we're talking about here. But one of the things that in a conversation with him on the way up, I learned that he was trying to find a Cursillo that he could join, could attend just to see what it was like. And I found that I was looking for something like that too. And so the conductor of that conference up there, I was telling him that we were both looking to make Cursillos. And he says, oh, well, since you're from the Diocese of Dallas, why don't, when you get home, call the dean of the cathedral in Dallas and tell him you'd like to make a Cursillo because they're going to have one down there. And Father Johnson had called someplace in Kentucky, I think it was, hoping to get in there. And so he said, call the dean of Dallas when you get there and see. So when I got back home, I called the dean at the cathedral in Indianapolis, and I said, I understand that you're going to have, call the dean of the cathedral in Dallas, and I said, going to have it, and he said, well, why are you going to Dallas? We're having one that's starting next week. And I said, can I get in that? He says, oh, sure. So my Cursillo was made in Indianapolis. And then we had a Cursillo here.